to the last meeting of council for this year, and declare the meeting open. We have three policies from Councillor Brown, Councillor Phillips, good to see you. Would somebody like to move that those policies be sustained? Yes, already. Thank you. Second of that, Councillor Sarah Colgan. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Are there any conflicts that need to be cleared at this point in time? There's not. If there is any arise, then I'm sure you'll let us know. So we need to move on to the confirmation of minutes and reports. And we have a confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on Tuesday, 10 November 2020. Would somebody like to move what is seen as a true and correct record of the meeting? Councillor Dixon, seconded Councillor Brown. Are there any alterations to that record? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, the motion is carried. Councillors, is there any urgent business that needs to be tabled for discussion tonight? There's not. Thank you. Item 5, Southland Events Strategy, and we have a brief memo here from the Chief Executive and a copy of the Southland Events Strategy, and we also have Bobby Brown and Ruben Marley come and give us a bit of a talk about what it's all about. So, Bobby, if you want to come forward, you're more than welcome to come and grab one of the seats over here if you like. So, I'm not sure that all councillors will know your role and life, Bobby, but perhaps you can just give everyone a bit of a brief bio of what your responsibilities are and why you do it.
Thank you, Your Worship. Kia ora koutou katoa. Bobby Brown, so my role is I am the General Manager for Tourism and Events at Great South, which is the region's regional development agency. Yeah, I'm actually a Gore girl, which I always say, not just when I'm in Gore, but everywhere else too. Proudly born and bred, and my family's still in Gore. Sit on the Board of Trustees for Gore High School, so still have a lot to do with this community.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, no, thank you for the invitation.
Event strategy.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take 5 minutes and give it today. Yep. So look, I think I just want to firstly acknowledge Michelle, Sonia, Jim. There's been a few people that have been involved in the development of this strategy, so we really appreciate the staff input and time. We know there's a lot going on. This piece of work come out of the Southland Regional Development Strategy was then further mandated through the Southland Matahikan Destination Strategy. And what it's pretty much saying is that there's 1,612 events in the region, but there's a whole lot of things that we need to do to leverage the benefit of these events and to support the people delivering them. And this has been really made important with COVID because events have a couple of different functions, not just from filling hotel beds in an economic context, but also from a wellbeing. So people need to have social interaction and opportunities to know why they live here and that quality of life. So what the strategy does is it sets it within, what the first one we did was an audit where we basically found 1,612 events. Of interest was that 2/3 were held in Chicago and about 9% were held in Gore. So that's just the number, that doesn't acknowledge the significance of the events. Look, I think probably if you've all had a chance to read this, what's important is that it was multi-stakeholders were involved to develop it. And that is important because while Great South facilitated the development, we're not the only ones involved in delivering against it. But as a regional development agency, obviously you asked us to do some stuff, as do the other 8 shareholders. So we do have a key role. But it also acknowledges a lot of the good work and the events and the expertise that's already out there in the community. There's already implementation underway, but at the moment we're just getting the councils and shareholders to sign off on the document just to make sure there's that level of comfort. One of the things that we're doing that will be of interest is that with the borders closed at the moment, events are actually really important for driving domestic visitation. So what that means is that for us to be able to market events as part of how we promote the region, they actually need to be in certain formats that we can do that. So for example, digital footage or photos to help promote it. So we've identified, I think at the moment, something like 31 events, and we're working with each of those event organisers to just give them a hand to help them get the right things to help promote their event. That's only if the event wants that, it's up to each event. And I think if you're okay, that's probably enough of a summary. If there's any questions?
Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, so there's been quite a lot of background going into putting this strategy together. So councillors, do you have any questions or ideas you'd like to float at this point in time? Yeah, Bobby, can you just give us a bit of a sense as to where it's at with the other partners in Great South, with ICC and South Literature?
Yeah, so my understanding is that it goes up to SDC and ICC today as well.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and all the funders of events were involved as well, which was quite good because one of the outcomes in here is around streamlining funding processes for event organisers, so you don't spend your life applying for funds, and then looking also at economic benefit of events. So trying to have some consistent sort of methodologies for measuring that. So my understanding is, yeah, that they will go to council today, your worship. So.
Right. Thank you. Okay, councillors, open for any discussion or questions that you may have. Please.
I would just like to say that it's great to see a coordinated approach to events and their financial and social value to South. I think it's great, really. And I'm wondering too, in the for the regional event forum, you've noted that there should be one new event, a professional and an educational event. Did you think about recreational perhaps as well?
Yep, through your worship. Yeah, no, that's this is just a guideline. I think once we get some of those people together, and they'll probably have a bit more knowledge than us. Because the other complicating thing is that the government allocated through the Tourism Recovery Fund $50 million towards events. And that was basically to say, while we don't have international visitors, let's drive visitation. So Southland's been able to access about 1.2 million of that through both our RTOs. And this thing is really important because what it's doing really is it's turbocharging the implementation. So while this is a 5-year term on it, now that we've got that funding, it complements what the councils are putting into Great South, what the other funders are putting in, and it just means we can have a good look at some of these things and maybe identify more opportunities.
Yeah.
Interesting to note, I'm sure councillors have noted that the Southland Events framework in the premier events, there's 3 premier events identified, 2 of them based in Gore District, which is good to see. Okay.
I just say, Worship, really think the importance here is setting the foundation, and really interesting to see what comes of strategy in terms of implementation and what it's about, and bringing some of those key interest groups together. So, particularly, I always thought, for one, often wonders why there isn't perhaps more cross-pollination between different events, so that good ideas from one event can be actually incorporated into another. And this strategy really allows for that with the stakeholders forum. So, yeah, very keen to see what how it emerges over the next few years.
Okay. There's nothing else. Would somebody like to move that we thank Bobby for attending and receiving information? Councillor McFarlane, Councillor Gower. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you very much.
Okay, on to item 6, which is Raw Arts and Heritage Precinct Development Stage 2. And we have a memo here from the Chief Executive. Jim is welcome along, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. This goes back to the decision made last by the Council to increase its input into stage one, which is the redevelopment of the Moonshine Museum. And in doing that, with that decision involved bringing forward proposed contribution to stage two to get stage one over the line and underway, which it is now. There was a request from the council for a report on what is stage two, its timing and proposed funding. Bear in mind that stage two was always a little bit more hazy in its definition, but was requested by the Retro Growth Fund for submission. It's important point to make because at the time when we put forward proposal for stage one, stage two was out there and very amorphous concept, but the PGF officials asked us to submit on stage two, which we duly did, not having an absolute firm idea of what that might involve, and subsequent months, if not a year and a half has elapsed, it has allowed the concept to come a little bit more firmly to light. That stated, I believe there is a case for not just the council contribution to increase slightly, but if need be, if the cost of the project increases, I think there's a moral argument to go forward to PG that we were encouraged to submit. We submitted it on a price based on a very loosely defined concept. If that price increases with a more firm design, I believe that the PG should partner us in that approach. So really, the purpose of the memo is to really state two things. This is what we think the cost might be at the time. We believe that we need to make a further capital contribution now that 200,000 allocated stage two has been used in stage one. It's worthy of articulation in the draft long-term plan next year. And secondly, timing. And again, timing is something we haven't really been turning our mind terribly a lot of amount towards, mainly because stage one has been firmly in our focus. Jim can speak a bit more authoritatively than I can on this, but we're both of the view that we want to do stage one, do it well, and then do stage two, and not try and juggle two projects at the same time. I think it's a recipe for mistakes to creep in and unintended consequences to emerge. So that's the plan of taking worship. This is really about an early indicator of what we think we'll need to be sharing with the council, with the community, with the LTP. But of course, it first needs to get council's endorsement in principle that this be included as a significant item for engagement with the community in March next year.
Jim, would you like to make any comment on this?
Through the chair, I think the chief executive summed that up really well. We do have a very good indication of costs through quantity surveys reports and certain amount of details on the project, so we know what we're doing. And essentially, that last meeting, I stipulated a project cost summary which identified all the key components of the project, and also we outlined 990,000 that funded allocated. And we're very pleased that they allocated that based on capital input from 2008, which was good development. I guess as far as the figure we're talking about, 340,000, 200,000 of that is obviously being put into stage one, and that has been essentially targeted at the roof, which we discovered we needed to do because they currently wasn't combined, and also the new fire agents which are required for development. So that essentially absorbed that money. We were always going to come to you for $100,000 in this facility services figure. That's always on the cards anyway. The other 40,000 was essentially the inflation adjustment on the grant that was agreed to in 2008. So essentially, it's the $200,000 that was taken over for stage one that we ideally need to replace them.
Thank you, Jim. So this is open for discussion now. Essentially, what we're being asked for as a council is to consider putting this amount of money into our long-term plan so that we can have a conversation in a formal way with the community over the next, over the middle part of next year. And the Heritage Precinct development is a significant one in the life of this community, and it will be good to see it moving forward. So this is open for discussion by councillors and or recommendation at this point. So open for discussion, councillors. Councillor Gardner.
Yeah, just a wee bit of clarification. On the 17th of November, we allocated a bit more than 400,000. If you look at the minutes, I think it was 450,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, that should be 450.
Yeah. Just a question is how, when going forward, we're having our estimates just before Christmas for the long-term plan. It would be nice to sort of have that first and then have this second. But it's come up now and you want us to put it into the long-term plan, but it would be nice to know where that money's coming from, whether it's loan funded or whether we could get it from capital optimization, like selling council assets to actually raise that money, have a plan for where we can get that money. I'm just wondering whether we could put a tag on it that we will use loan money to fill the gap, but we need to fill it with sale of assets to pay for it.
And I guess that will be, or could be part of the conversation through the long-term planning process. I guess
Be nice to just we put a wee tag on it now.
and if there's money available, then probably should be used. If it's not, then it probably will be loan funded. I think it's reasonable.
And if it's loan funded, I'd like to see the loan have a 20-year life. Yeah, not a 40-year or 50-year or no end.
And that level of detail, I guess, will come as the project moves on.
Sure, definitely. I mean, this is just about advancing. This is in response to the last council meeting. We'd like to see a report on stage 2, and we'd like to have a council meeting, and we'd like to have it reasonably soon. And I thought we'll put it up here now so that before we get into LTP, we know whether it's a legitimate candidate, whether it's not. And obviously, the project needs to be set against other priorities. And the first workshop will be mainly focused on priorities and where they lie before we get to the knowledge of some numbers, most likely. And then if the project proceeds in the LTP draft proposal, as proposed funding will be described whether that's via loan, whether that's via proposed sale of assets, and we go down the sale of assets track or route. We will also need to disclose the public assets that we intend to sell to.
Thanks, Councillor Bolger.
Yes, we were going to get the money from, it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg debate. I'd prefer to make the decision, should or should we not invest that money. Personally, I'm in favour of it, and we often talk about business activity, promoting business activity, promoting the township, promoting the district. And this is one way of doing it. If we do nothing, we're going to get nothing. Now, I say that as a person who doesn't live in the town. I live outside the town. I can see the benefits of that sort of investment. And I do know that money, which I assume will be loan funded, will be spread across 2 years. So, look, let's look at the positive results of what that spending will produce for us. And so I'll support it.
Yes, got to bear in mind that what we're asking for here is, will we have a talk to the community about this? That's what we're asking for here.
Thank you, Worship. I'm a little bit in favour of actually holding off, voting on it at this council meeting, because as Councillor Garland has said, the LTP workshop first estimates is in 1 week's time. Now, that's going to give us a bit more of an idea of exactly where we are now. We've just committed 1.3 million to the library and James Cumming community centre upgrade, which has to, had to happen. As governors of the GDC Bank, basically, we have to be fiscally responsible for what happens here. And just right at the moment, I'm not at all. I am in favour of this project, the Rural project. I've seen what's happening. It's a great idea. But just right at this present time, I believe we need to hold off until we have our first workshop. Steve, if I may ask you, when's the date that we have to notify for LTP? What's the last? So can we hold this over till February or even early March?
Potentially could. In terms of the LTP, we will need to be making our figures available to our auditors within the first half of the year. Our proposal was for the actual release of public comment. Will get us around about the first half of February, where we get to have our proposal ready. I guess through worship, this may all become quite apparent after your first workshop. You might say, oh, look, there's no problem here, or this is going to be tough. Nothing that if you sign off on this tonight, all you're signing off on is inclusion in the LTP. And you may still put forward that, but it may be on the basis that the council says, well, we have this, but based on financial challenges, we're proposing not to proceed the project potentially. But it wouldn't bother me if you wanted to defer this until February. But I do think off the top of my head that I'm not sure what our council meeting date is in February, but we would, by early February, we will need to have a pretty good idea of where our financials sit, so that we can load it up and send it to our auditors for critiquing.
Glenys, did you want to make?
Yes, through your worship, it was just the figures that were confusing me, because we had 160 assigned in the long-term plan and 400k for stage 1, which left 160. Is that still in the long-term plan? But now that figure's 450, so it leaves 110 still sitting in the long-term plan. Is that figure being brought forward included in the 400 score? How does that work? And I noticed in the Courageous report that it was 475 that was in the long-term plan for the site. So the figures were just a little bit confusing.
Through your worship, I mean, I'm just going back to the first I've answered that, the Councillor Garland's question at 450, I think it is 400. My understanding is that the stage 1, there was an increase in the council's contribution from 200 to 650. 250 that was allocated for savings from East South, leaving the 400 funded, both 200 for stage 1 were all proposed, 200 from stage 2, which you brought forward. That makes it 400. The other 160 has pretty much been consumed by the design and planning costs to get us this far. So the 560 that was in the plan is now been consumed. And so for stage 2 to actually be advanced, the council contribution, which is necessary to get the PGF funding, the council will need to make some fresh allocation of funding in the next long-term plan.
Okay, so it has been spent.
It has been spent.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. While I appreciate the sentiments of Councillor Grant, I'm keen for the community to have this conversation And it's already been in the media, which is great. And I guess my only question through you, Worship, is realism on that number. Councils and this council have been guilty in the past of putting numbers in LTPs that are unrealistic. And we find ourselves having supposed budget overruns, which in fact are thrust upon us. So keen to see it get into the LTP conversation occur, but providing that number is hand on the heart in terms of what we can get. So what are the risks on that 340, Steve, around the council's contribution? Obviously, the funding falls over, it tends to fall back on council. The QS numbers are obviously in, so there could be some slippage there, but apart from that, is there anything else I'm not seeing?
Through your worship. No, I don't think so. There might be a bit of slippage, but that's what I believe the PGF needs to come to the party, because it was highly encouraging on not only the proposal when we really were scrambling to get ready. But as Jim removed before, we've got a QS estimate. I'll let Jim talk about the other funding agencies that we're reliant on, because the landscape has changed no doubt with COVID-19. But last time I spoke to Jim, we were reasonably confident about those agencies still coming through. But Your Worship, Jim might want to just comment.
Before he does that, when is it planning to engage with PGF again? When are we planning on strategically having that conversation?
Well, actually, PGF engaging us quite regularly. Stage 1 and stage 2. Part of the engagement process is actually to say, well, just give us a moment to get stage 1 done before we get to carry out stage 2, because they've been sort of championing a bit for us to get them both knocked over pretty quickly. So the engagement is there on a pretty much weekly basis. So that won't be a problem. Whether they agree with my philosophy in terms of perhaps a change of approach, but there is any increase in scope or cost of the project, I do believe there's a strong moral argument to it. But Your Worship, Jim will have a better idea about the other favourite funding agencies and their ability or information to contribute to the project as proposed, given the change in circumstances.
Councillor, I said I can confirm what the Chief Executive is saying in terms of connection with the PGF on a daily basis.
Okay.
Which I've seen them in his office quite regularly recently. Jim.
Yeah, through the chair, the project summary, cost summary that I presented in that last meeting outlines a number of cornerstone funders. Now, of course, the Trust Southern two other funders will stage 1, so they're coming to stage 1 on the much more significant level. I deliberately, for the purposes of the budget, to get out to someone from that because the funders might not be asked people who know through their initial discussion interested in the project, industry, cultural communities, the whole range of people. And also would be quite conservative in what we are expecting to raise quite a large small trusts and donations across the community. So for the purpose of PGF, we're looking at major cornerstone funders. And of course, the way they release their funds is that they like to see a contribution for money that they release. And they're probably the most important installment for the first one is money, seeing finance to actually tie in the cost, which is the common space, or just peer reviews on the reviews, all those things that actually gives the exact cost. And soon we can expect that to be better, because they want to release that we can solve partnership funding.
Chicken and egg.
So one last question on that. So the 340 sought from council doesn't assume that PGF have come to party.
That was outside of the proposal. That was the 200, which was allocated to 2007. 100 that was indicated that we were going to approach council. That was the services about. And the 40 is the inflation adjustment on 200 that was proportional to 2007. So we really haven't changed our request. Essentially, it's the stage 2 component was written, which has been absorbed by state government. If we want to release now rather than council suddenly facing fine, where $32 million, we don't really want to do that. So we'd rather tidy the precinct up and get absolutely back on compliant as it can possibly be. With huge support from people from South Korea, and that's huge trust in the government. It's actually a very cheap museum of the great scheme. But we are also conscious of the council. Just putting it in.
I think I saw a slightly more expensive one of the paper this morning.
Yes, that's a good matter.
Look, I think it's got council.
Through your worship, in regard to obviously looking at the timeframe that when we talk about the funding that's coming through and looking at the year, starting in 2007, obviously there's been 13 or 14 years to get to this point here. And being the first town councillor, you realise that we do have to have that investment, and it has been a long road to get to this point. But I think I support it because I don't think we should be hesitant in having that funding coming forward, because we don't want to jeopardise that PGF funding, particularly if there was any issue coming from that. I also put my support to Councillor Gardiner in regard to, we are doing a lot of expenditure, a lot of items, particular items that are there. We have to ensure that we are looking at how it's being repaid or how we're actually financing these or putting some time frames in regard to that. So I'd be supporting as of today, not looking at carrying through that long-term, as Councillor Grant has indicated, because I think some hesitation there could, my understanding is not going to jeopardise a PGF or anything like that. But there's no. If we put it forward, there's no delaying it through to the long-term plan. Would it jeopardise anything regarding to the PGF? So.
No, through your worship, no. I think it's important to remember that this is not a shovel-ready project, a provincial growth project. They are quite different. Shovel-ready, you put forward your proposals, there's an expectation that you are ready and you get on with it. This is as a result of a bid and a direct invitation to go for stage 2 as well. So no, I don't believe we'll be jeopardised at all, and we're entitled, as the pitch has changed to the community, so they have 340,000 in stage 2.
I'm happy to make the recommendation with the post, provided that Councillor Gardine's provided that funding.
What was it?
Well, where it's coming from and how it's going to be.
Yeah, so like term of the loan, say under 20 years.
Okay, I'll second for that. Councillor Rossi. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Right, we'll move on then to Westport Playground consultation, and we have a report from our Parks and Rec manager, Sofa, reporting on some conversations that were had, consultations that were had around possible changes in status of some of the playgrounds that are mentioned here. Ian, do you want to walk us through that report?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, so this report before you is now the combination of this consultation with the community. Lately, we have had some hearings with some ministers which can be heard. Councillor Martin chaired that meeting with also all the attendants, and we have some information for you on page 45, which is the results of that those verbal presentations from the members of the community that chose to speak to the proposal. One pertinent point that came out from a number of those that verbally submitted was the value that the people, the community place upon playgrounds that they can walk to from their homes. That was one element that came through quite strongly that we hadn't been fleshed out in the other consultation elements. Through the report, we gave us some options, adding in the information that certainly came from the verbal submissions, and we've settled upon the option before you, which is to retain all three that we moved to playgrounds from Brown Street and Merlin Place, and also my place. So Brown Street, Merlin is enjoyable, and we retain Sword Street with play assets on site, but increase and change within existing budgets the play opportunities there to cater for the older children. Given that the new playground at Kids Hub, the Wayland Park, does cater for smaller children, pretty much the under 8s, really. So if we can update Sword Street facilities to cover for 8 years longer, and that will give us in that quarter of the town capacity to take for all members of the community in terms of play for children. Happy to take questions on that, Your Worship.
Okay, are there any questions of Ian at this point in time? Any comments anybody wants to make? Councillor Highstead, then Councillor Lee.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. In just the Sword Street playground, the consultations occurred with that part of town. So I guess I have a question around, is that the best for Gore in terms of its locations? If it's at the southern end of town, it's not centrally located, and if we are going to invest, as funds allow, in a playground for older children, is that the best locality? And it seems to be centralised consultation at that end, and potential for a school close in that area too, that with those older children, long to intermediate. So, where's the opportunity to engage with the entire town and say, well, where would you like that particular facility located? Is that considered during
that? Through the chair, the original consultation did go completely to the community. Whilst we focused on the areas of immediate interest in terms of the letter drop, the wider community was canvassed at large. And we did receive feedback and submissions from a number of residents that live quite a distance away from that area, so they were not their local playgrounds and operations.
And as the Parks and Recreation, how do you see that as best bang for our buck in terms of the location?
Chair, I do, because that's still an area of town that has a large family component, and being it on either side of the state highway, children who migrate that way for events and for schooling, to high schools and the other middle school, primary school, and reasonably close proximity, but with a lot of through traffic going through that area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I'm just wondering, when you go and investigate what sort of play equipment you're going to put on there, could you take into consideration the fact that there are a number of young people, and I'm talking probably 13 plus, that are currently really engaged in basketball in the community, but they don't have a public space in which to do that. And I just wondered, I don't know about a forecourt or anything like that, whether that allows them that space, but even hoops or something like that, so that they can take their balls and
Through the chair, that's definitely through the consultation, where we actually had the consultation caravan on site there one day. The PM came through, yes, we would like a basketball hoop, so that's absolutely the plan. And that's part of the youth type facilities, as opposed to some of the smaller smaller children.
Thank you, that would be really great if you could do that.
Councillor McDonnell, then Councillor.
Can I ask a question of Matt? Where is that? Is that water pipe in Merlin Street right through the middle of that block of land?
It's a stormwater pipe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
residents. Yeah, so that cuts that piece of land out for development. So, yeah, I would leave that as a playground. Sword Street, if I was doing it, I would cut the playground down to a reasonably small area. Still leave a playground there, but cut out and put 2 sections in there to asset optimization. That area is 1,745 square metre. 2 600 square metre sections could be cut out, still leave a reasonable playground for children to play on. And Moa Place is 2,158 square metres. I would chop corners off it, centralise the path and put in 2 sections there and still leave a nice green area in the middle for people to play of something around 700-800 square metres, which is equivalent of a section. We could keep up, give the people what they need and generate some income for councils. It's asset optimisation and still leaving good green areas in those areas to play. So that's how I would manage it. If I was making the decision today on my own, that's what would happen. Finish.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I achieved the submissions, and the three people out of 5 turned up. They were very passionate about keeping the playgrounds down in that area, especially Sword Street. They weren't worried at all about losing Urban Place or Moa. But as Mr. Savas said, they wanted an area that they can, as it is important that they can play cricket and they can spread out a little bit. So you probably need a little bit more 700 square metres there, Stuart, with your calculations. One of the great statements made by Mr. Cole was as he was leaving, he said, and it's important to read it, if you take away the parks, you'll drive the families out. And it was quite, it was actually bang on. So, evening, I would like to move that we adopt the recommendation of option 1.
I've got one person to speak.
Through Your Worship, I think these spaces, green spaces are very important, particularly now after COVID, because you did see quite a few people, children playing in these parks through the lockdown period. And I think there are some lower socioeconomic families that can't afford to go to Dollamore Park or to the stadium anymore. So we have to provide for them as well. And I really believe we should leave the parks as they are. I'm in favour of option A.
So do you seek Councillor Grant's motion? Councillor Gardner?
I would probably take a compromise view, and if you're going to leave a playground, you probably leave Sword Street and definitely Moa Place. You've actually got about a 10-hectare reserve right beside it now. Or a 10-acre reserve right beside it. So you've got 2 sections that could be actually taken there and have your walkway in between, and then you could actually develop some of the paddock next door that's only been leased for grazing till actually is developed into whatever we're going to develop into. We've got acres of it just right there. So there is 2 sections that are quite valuable. The Merlin Place, I would like to see where the actual pipeline is. It should be able to be easily located onto that map and see if there is ability to take a section off that as well. Because, if the pipeline is down to one side, there's plenty of room for a section to be taken there. And I would oppose the option A. Yeah.
Okay, so is there anybody else who wants to make comment? Councillor Reid and then Councillor Davis. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think with the Moa Place Reserve, we have to be cognizant that there is a council-owned piece of property there. The minute you start putting homes there, that may include any development that we wish to do in the future. I think we need to be very careful about that suggestion.
Councillor Davis.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I was just going to ask how long it would take for the revoking of the reserve status. How long? What sort of process is involved? For what? what's the timeline?
Through the chair, that process can take upwards 12 months, depending on the amount of submissions received and the passion of the submitters. That can draw out to quite a lengthy process to see it right through from beginning to conclusion. And noting that ultimately would need the sign-off from the Minister of Conservation as well.
Just another question. So if you were to revoke the reserve status, I'm just putting it in this perspective, who gets to submit? The public get to submit on that?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. Public at large would get to submit on that.
Okay. So if there are any objections, it would be stuck in there and then. What's the process of those objections?
The process would be that it works through a hearing situation with the hearing panel. The outcome of that becomes a recommendation to the Minister.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Bolger.
In my mind, council was consulted on the pension of certain playgrounds and received a fairly clear answer from the community. That's it. Whether you like it or not.
Councillor Dixon, Councillor McNally, I can put the motion that's listed on the table.
Through you, Worship, I'd just like to point out that Bill Walker actually donated that Norris Street land at the time for a reserve. And I think morally we have a duty to think about that when we're making decisions, because
That's okay. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just not sure what the motivation was for the donation. Was that part of the subdivision consenting process?
Yes.
at the time.
No, we don't have to take notice of every submitter. If we did that, we wouldn't put the bridge across. So I think there were more against submissions on the bridge than there were for the bridge. So we're going to go that way. The bridge is off the agenda. Yeah, so we've discovered the bridge. Right. So
we've got to make up our mind as to what we think is the best long-term result of the consultation that's been undertaken for council. So Councillor Gardine, Councillor High said, and that's it.
Just talking, Brian was talking about the access to the reserve. There is still very good access through Tame Street. It goes straight into the reserve. So you don't actually need three accesses to that reserve. Yeah.
Councillor High said.
Yeah, just thinking, Your Worship, there's a bit of theme tonight around asset optimisation and focus on this item. I'm just wondering if there's a place for it and going forward for a working group of councillors to look at surplus assets or perceived surplus assets in the community and take a measured approach in terms of moving forward. And whether this is the time to move in that direction or not, I'll be guided by you. But I think it's sorry.
I can think of an ideal chairman.
Well, I think, you know, going for long-term plan, it may be an outcome.
But I think that's, you raise a good point, and it's something that does crop up from time to time. So probably we should be considering all the potential options out there, and give it the due consideration of time to work through what the challenges might be. But anyway, we have a motion on the table which is in now, which is effectively option A, as laid out in the report before you. So moved Councillor Grant, seconded Councillor Dixon. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Against.
So we have 2 against. Is that right, Councillor Gardine and Councillor McNally? Okay. The motion is passed. Thank you, councillors. Thank you for the debate on that particular subject. Personally, I'm sure that we won't have seen the last of discussions such as that. Okay, we'll move on then to item 8, which is the Matera Community Board report. We have a report from the Community Board that was held on the 23rd of November. Just a couple of 3 items on the agenda, but it's there for our receipt. and noting a ratification.
I'll move the recommendation you would.
Thank you. Dr. Secretary, Councillor Davis, thank you. Just one question before I put that motion. I'll put the motion now actually, but all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against the motion is carried. Just a bit of explanation around the community plan. And I think, Peter, was that you that was talking to the community board about the community plan? Can you just give us a bit of an overview of what that discussion, how that discussion took place? Sorry to put you on the spot.
So a lot of package to the community board raising the community plan to develop the community plan.
Yep.
So there had been a community plan in place for Motona over the last few years, and most of those actions rising with that community plan have been worked through. So there's probably about 80-85% of those. That's everything from kind of the community garden, and various other initiatives that have been undertaken. So it was really a chance to tax off and say, is it time for developing a new community plan? The board expressed that they had an appetite to do so, but what they wanted to do is explore in a workshop what that might look like in the approach. So the paper that I provided simply set out some principles they might like to follow and some information that they want to gather in starting that process.
Excellent. I think that's a great, great initiative by the community board. Community plans are essential for communities such as Motona. So going forward, will you help them in that discussion?
Correct. So I'll be working with them to deliver the workshop in late January, and then we'll be working through the process of developing the community plan and consultation with them.
Okay, thank you. Right, on to item 9, and just going into a Christmas break, maybe need for some urgent decisions to be made on behalf of council. So the tradition here has been to have a statutory emergency committee for a particular period of time to make those decisions on behalf of council, and that be disbanded. Come the 9th of February, I think, for the next council meeting. Do you want to make a comment? You comment on this?
Thanks, Your Worship. This is a standard provision we put in place just to make sure that there is continuity in governance throughout the holiday period. In the past, there's generally 1 or 2 issues that cropped up. Ironically, most of the times it's been the period between the last council meeting and Christmas Day, where there's been late issues that have emerged that there's a resolution. So all the resolutions of the committee, which is Power of course, are reported back to the council in February, and then the committee is on recess until the next Christmas period, holiday period.
So I think it's open for anybody that wants to be part of this. Traditionally, we've had 3 members. It's been the mayor and 2 other councillors. I guess it's pretty important that those councillors, there's a good chance that they will be available on short notice over that period. So that's probably the only proviso on eligibility for the committee, I think. Do we have any volunteers? Councillor Reid, Councillor Bolt? Is there any others? Councillor Garland? Okay, 4. Yeah. So we've had Councillor Reid, Councillor Garland, and Councillor Bolger, and myself has been nominated for the emergency committee. Has someone like to move in that direction? Councillor Grant, thank you. Secondly, Councillor Langton. Put the motion, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, the motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Council meeting schedule for 2021. So first council meeting, 9th of February, and I'm assuming that the council chambers will be right.
Yes, Your Worship.
Yeah. So this will be our last meeting in this council chambers. I'll say I'm upset about that. And hopefully the acoustics in the new one are better than the acoustics in this one. I used to think that the acoustics in the James Cumming room were bad until I got into here. And, I don't know whether anybody else struggles, but it's, perhaps it's just where I'm sitting, perhaps it's me, I don't know. But a bit of a challenge. Okay, so we have the meeting schedule laid out there. Susan, do you want to comment on that? That's pretty much as per this year. Okay.
Is there going to be an opening for the new building?
Yes, so I had that on my list to talk to the chief executive about, but I think we should have one. And I think we need to involve the public in that as much as we possibly can. I think that we've spent, we're in the process of spending a lot of their money on this particular facility, and they need the opportunity to see what that looks like. Okay, somebody like to move the option of that meeting schedule? Councillor Reid, seconded Councillor McDonnell. Thank you. No discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, the motion is carried. We've got 1 minute. They'll cut Dave. No. Okay, so item 11, and we report from Human Resources Manager, just giving us an update on health and safety. Susan, do you want to make any comment?
Thank you, Worship. No, it's not an extraordinary. Taking questions.
Any questions from councillors with regard to that report? It's not, would somebody like to move this receipt? Thank you, Councillor Ister, second Councillor Davis. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, the motion is carried. Thank you. Project performance reports, December 20. And we have a memo here from the General Manager Infrastructure. Ramesh.
Thank you, everybody. I think the report is pretty much straightforward with the traffic lights. There are some challenges with our Norfolk Sherford Bridge. And one of the projects which is about the construction of the reservoir we have deferred because of non-availability of the funding. And I'm happy to take some questions if anybody has anything on the water treatment plant program. I think it is progressing very well. But there is some financial challenges with the variations coming up with the hazard studies done. I think Hashim has created a separate report for that, which is, I think, it is consuming the available contingency money is available for 100,000. I think it requires 176,000. So we are requesting that part of separate report for amendment of that contingency money for that.
Okay, thanks, Ramesh. So the report's open for discussion. Steve, do you want to make any comment on that too?
Not at this time, Your Worship. I'll need to answer questions if I can. I'm pretty happy with where things are at.
Okay, open for discussion, councillors. Any questions? If not, would somebody like to move the report? Thank you, Councillor Bolger. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Dixon, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, the motion is carried. Thank you. Item 13, we have a progress report on the civic administration building upgrade from Chief Executive. Comment to this, fairly straightforward, I think.
It is, Your Worship. The project has run very, very well, and I think you should see now it's full glory. I just had a tour through the building last Friday, and it does look particularly good, and it just looks like a new build. And very spacious, so looking forward to moving in. There are a few odd miscellaneous items you will see there recorded by the project manager, which were client induced, if you like. These things do crop up in a major renovation or new build with a few last minute things that you haven't quite thought of that you'd like to put in place. So it's been done, but we are within 0.1 or 1% budget regard to forecast final cost. So nothing that the council should be too concerned about.
Okay, councillors open for discussion. Brett?
Yeah, I also have a question, Your Worship, through you, just on the contingency sums that were in that budget. Is this, I haven't got the signal report in front of you, but are contingency sums fully drawn on the project? Because there was, from recollection, about 30,000 in the FF&E area as a contingency.
I haven't seen the last update as to how much is left.
Right.
But I don't think there's a lot left. But I haven't had an update to the minute of what is left. I think the project manager is probably a bit conservative, cautious about, we haven't got to the finish line yet. Therefore, there's probably betting on that there might still be one or two things that crop up that need to be attended to.
That's fair. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Allen.
Staff duration alarm, is that when someone gets stroppy or what? What is that?
Yes.
So basically, it's in the meeting rooms or where is it placed?
Yeah, the desk, okay.
Reception.
Oh, reception.
So,
Panic button.
yes. And look, and honestly, this day and age, unfortunately, you do get people who present in pretty agitated tones, moods, and we've noticed an increase in this. And so it's a real health and safety issue that we need to make sure that we've got something for, so that we can react and quickly to when an event unfolds.
Is there one in the council chamber too?
Councillor, through your worship, you can request. I know politics is a tough game. I'll just figure out a rescue party.
So through you, your worship, so when the panic button is pushed, where does the alarm go to?
Through your worship, it shows up on everybody's laptop or screen that someone's requested assistance. And generally, there's a triage, if you like, of who.
So it's not audible. It's not audible. So it's not an audible alarm. It's an alarm which goes into the computer system. So if it's like a smoker.
Can go to the police station.
Yes.
Through, I was just wanting to ask if there's any training for the staff regarding agitated people, because I know in my previous role that was very helpful.
Your worship, yes, we do have regular training for new staff and refreshers for existing staff. And we had one earlier this year.
Thank you.
Okay, would somebody like to move to receive? Thank you, Councillor Williams, seconded Councillor Macmillan. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Target Southlands Free Waters collaboration, and there's an update on this today. Steve,
Yes, Your Worship, it is an update, but it's a rapidly moving reform program. Hence the undertaking I gave a month or so ago to keep you up to date on a regular basis as this emerges. I can support that today the South New Zealand Forum endorsed the report and the suggestion of allocation of $200,000 for assessment, which was considered to be very important for the success of the project. So really that's about all I can add, Your Worship. But the new year promises to be, I think, one of some revelation in terms of the government's appetite for both the extent of reform and the pace at which it may be trotted out before communities in New Zealand.
okay, any questions or queries at all? I would note that I said I forward on a report that I get every couple of weeks from three group, which is Local Government New Zealand, Solid and GIA. That's probably the latest information that's available, but certainly as time goes on, there seems to be more of a line from government to move quicker rather than on this whole process. So I'd say that early in the new year we'll see some significant announcements about what a new water authority might look like for authorities. It seems to be getting more like singular rather than
I presume they're going to be, they're going to talk to us about what's the public, or they're going to talk to the council, what's going to happen, or just going to come as a, just come like a train.
I suspect there'll be reform.
Right.
And like in many ways, there probably needs to be reform, but it'd be nice to be at the front of that, leading the charge rather than just.
I was at the Glenkennick Water Scheme meeting, and it's owned by the Clutha district, and they're putting a new plant in, and they were noting that 65% of their people in that scheme are in the Gore District Council. I wondered if we had any money, spare money from our funding. I assured them that we didn't.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, look, I certainly, the messages I get from various sources from time to time are that there's a clear agenda for reform, and there'll be engagement with council, with communities, but I think it might be more of a one-way engagement than a two-way engagement. Any questions, queries? Someone like to move the receipt of the report? Councillor Gowden, I imagine you're upset with that. Councillor McDonnell, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, the motion is carried. I think that brings us to the end of the open agenda.